Hi, and welcome to the Thrive Alcohol-Free podcast. I'm Dupe Witherick, alcohol-free well-being and transformational coach, and the best-selling author of A Cocktail of Clarity, How to Ditch Drinking, Embody a Joyful New Identity, and Thrive Alcohol-Free. This podcast will show you that being alcohol-free is not what the traditional narrative says. And even though alcohol is so ingrained in our society that it is okay to give yourself permission to stop drinking if you want to. And you do not have to wait until you hit rock bottom. It is certainly not boring, and I believe ditching drinking is just the start to living an extraordinary life. By getting rid of this one thing, it allows the doors to open to endless possibilities and opportunities. Each week, we will have guests on who are at various stages of the alcohol-free journey, from those who are curious to those who have been alcohol-free for years. We will also have experts on talking about different topics relating to alcohol and beyond. Through these conversations, you will discover what it means to thrive alcohol-free. Enjoy. Hi, and welcome to the Thrive Alcohol-Free podcast. It's so amazing that you are here listening, and I hope you're doing well. I hope you've enjoyed the last few episodes of the podcast. We had a bit of a break and we're all back on it now. So hope you're enjoying the episodes. And today I'm going to do a solo episode. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to talk about yet. So we will see where we go. But I wanted to, first of all, share with you a few things that I'm really excited about. So I have been doing these virtual coffees, which have actually been lots of fun. So my human design is all about my profile in human design, which is really the character you're meant to play in the world, is a 4-6. And the 4 is all about connector, being a connector and connecting with people in my network. And I thought, why not ask if people want to do these virtual coffees? So I've been doing these virtual coffees with a lot of people in my network and people that have been following me on Instagram, people in my email list, people that listen to the podcast. And it's just been such fun. It's been lovely getting to know you. It's been lovely getting to, if you're listening and we've had a virtual coffee, it's been lovely to get to know you. And it's just been a bit of a chat. And actually what I found is so many people have said to me, it's such a lovely thing to do. And I wonder if we all stop ourselves from doing something like that because it doesn't feel like the norm. It doesn't feel like what you're meant to do. And so instead of actually having a conversation on Zoom like this, we end up DMing people or WhatsApping people, but not actually having that conversation, that time together. And so these have just been lots of fun. So if you'd like to do a virtual coffee with me, then I will put the link below and I'd love to chat. And the other thing that I'm really enjoying is my human design session. So you might know for the month of July, I've been giving the 20% discount off because I was on another podcast, on the Euphoric podcast, talking all about human design. So if you want to hear that, head to that podcast. But I was a guest on Euphoric, the podcast, and offered the listeners there 20% off, and then offered my community the same 20% off. And actually, it's proven to be really popular. So I've done a lot of human design sessions this month, which I love. I really love sharing with people how best to use their energy, their gifts, as I said, the character they're meant to play in the world, a little bit on their purpose. We don't go into it in huge amounts of detail, but just enlightening them and showing where they may have some challenges. And, some of the things that we talk about are our different energy centers and how best we use our energy. So our energy centers, we have 9 centers in human design. We have the head center or the crown center. Then we have the mind, which is also known as the ajna center, the throat center, the G center or the identity center. We also have the ego, heart or will center, the emotional solar plexus, the sacral, the splenic center, and the root center. So they're the 9 centers. And actually, depending on whether you're defined or undefined, means you've got consistent access to that type of energy, or you're actually taking on the energy of others. So really determining, understanding how your energy works, and then determining whether or not what you think you're taking on is actually yours or not, and then using your strategy and authority to really discern that. It's fascinating stuff, because I'll give you a couple of examples. So with the emotional solar plexus, if you have that undefined, you might find that you are in a really great mood, and then you'll suddenly go and meet someone who may have a defined emotional solar plexus, and they're miserable. By the time you leave, you are feeling miserable. You've taken on all of those feelings, those negative feelings. And vice versa, if you've got it defined, you're actually pushing those emotions onto others and you're not aware of it. So when you understand things like this, it really helps you be more aware, helps you to manage your emotions better through things like EFT, emotional freedom technique, which is something I do, and just learning to really process and manage your emotions in a way that doesn't affect and put it on other people. Another example is when we think about the G center or the identity center, it's linked to the liver. And so when we talk about alcohol as well, a lot of the time I've talked about the fact that alcohol really, it doesn't only stop us in terms of numbing our negative emotions, it also numbs our positive emotions. But I've mentioned a few times that alcohol in Arabic means body eating spirit. So I think it really sort of just ebbs away at your true spirit. And when you look at human design and the G center or the identity center, that's linked to the liver. And so the liver is obviously trying to get rid of toxins and get the good nutrients in. And when you think about alcohol being linked to the liver as well and the identity, you can see how alcohol really impacts your identity and starts to sort of rub against who you truly are, and takes away a bit of your identity as well, and your self-esteem and your confidence. And again, I think it's things like saying you're going to moderate and breaking promises to yourself. That is really what ebbs away at your self-esteem. Saying you're not going to have a drink and then having a drink, things like that. And over time, just losing a bit of who you are through numbing, through not really being yourself, trying to fit in, looking for external validation. All of those things impact our identity. And so again, if you've got a defined G center or an identity center, then you have a real sense of self, a real sense of who you are, what you're about, sense of direction, sense of love, self-love as well. If you have an undefined G center or identity center, you might be looking elsewhere. You might be trying to find love, seek direction constantly. But you've also got a lot of access to wisdom, because you get to savor and flavor all these different types of wisdoms. So different types of expressions of the G center. And people who have an undefined or open G center are also potentially going to really be able to be almost comedian-like, and fit into any situation. And so there, if you go traveling to different countries or whatever you do, you will probably find you fit in really well. So human design is fascinating, and there's so many layers, and I'd love to take you on it. I've still got a few more slots before the end of the month, but obviously we're a week away from the end of the month, so you can see what's there. If you're interested in doing it, feel free to jump on board. Obviously, I'm continuing them from August, but the price is going up. I've decided that these are just such good value, and they are validation tools, as well as really you getting to know who you are. It's a really amazing session. And so these sessions are going to be 2 hours. They're going to go up come up the 1st of August. So if you want to get in now, feel free to do that. Otherwise, if you want to book August, I'd love to talk you through your human design then as well. And then the final thing that I am just really, really excited about are my Magic Marrakesh VIP experiences. So I am going to be doing one-to-one VIP experiences in September, October. They are 2 nights in Marrakesh, where we will do 6 hours of coaching on the first day. So we'll meet the night before. Whenever you land, we'll go out for dinner, And then the first day, all day, we're going to do a day of coaching. It's going to be all about you. We're going to have a virtual session beforehand, where we'll really explore what you want to cover during that time. Then using my various tools in my toolkit, depending on what you're looking for, we may do some EFT, we may do some hypnosis, we may do some meditation and breath work, we may do some NLP, whatever it is that's going to help you. It may just be goal setting and really thinking about how to create an action plan and go after whatever it is you want to go after. We'll have 6 hours of one-to-one coaching, and in between, obviously, we'll have some lunch, and then we'll go out, have a bit of a break, then we'll go out for dinner. And then on the following day, the third day, I suppose, we will go on a bit of a walking coaching tour, where I will take you around some of the sites of Marrakesh, and we will be walking and coaching. And it's just going to be a really intimate, you'll have me on tap for 2 days at an evening, and I can't wait for them. So they're going to be in September and October. So if that's something that you're interested in, it's an application form, and then when you fill in the application form, I will then have a call just to make sure that you're a good fit and that it's going to work for both of us. And then we will then meet in Marrakesh and have those 3 days together. So if, again, that's something you're interested in, head to the website. All of this is on my website, thrivealcoholfree.com. And yeah, I'm excited for the various things that we have on offer at the moment in Thrive Alcohol Free. So just wanted to give a bit of an update on that. There's so many other things, so feel free. There's going to be something that can help you. And just so you're aware, I think a lot of people seem to think that I am just an alcohol-free coach, and it's so much more than that. So for me, Thrive Alcohol Free, the name of my company, alcohol free, yes, is a key part, but it's the fundamentals, really. It's the basics. If you stop drinking, I fundamentally believe that you will benefit in some way, and life will be better, definitely, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and mentally. So that's the first step. Why not do that? But it's the what next. And that's what I also help you through. So it's, how do you truly thrive? How do you truly reach your potential? How do you really find those passions? How do you manage those emotions? How do you know what your values are? How do you really set goals and dreams that enable you to create the life that you deserve, the life that's waiting for you? The person who you are and who you're becoming is already there. They're inside you, and you just need to unlock whatever it is that you are supposed to do, that you are supposed to be, and unlock it. And actually, now that we talk about that, I want to talk about a concept that I was talking about to one of my coachees this week, which is the be, do, have concept. The world really is based on have, do, be. So if I have this, then I need to do this, and then I will become this. But actually, we should be looking at things from a be, do, have perspective. If I am this type of person, or if I become this type of person, that means I will do this, and so then I will have that. The be, do, have concept really is also the levels of change that I talk about, which is a pyramid, and it starts with purpose, identity, beliefs, and goes down to the things that we think are automatic when it comes to changing a habit. And we think that it's all about the skills, it's all about the knowledge, it's all about that piece. But no, it isn't. That's why on the 1st of January, when everyone says, I'm going to go to the gym, suddenly you find the gyms are full for like the first 2 weeks, and then everyone disappears because they have not stepped into the identity of being a healthy person. Their identity, they think that by doing the exercise or going to the gym, that's what's going to make them healthy. But actually, you need to, in your mind and in the way you think about yourself, say, I am a healthy person. What would a healthy person do? And then you'll see that you actually have that, you become that healthy. You see that in your day-to-day life. And so the be, do, have model is really great. So I today am going to talk about one of my favorite topics. So you might know that I've spoken at the Mind Body Spirit Festival a couple of times. I've spoken on various summits as well, virtually. And one of my favorite topics really is talking about um, passions and finding your passions. And I have had an epiphany recently that actually, when you discover the limitless pill in midlife, that is what drives you to become your best person. And I don't believe that there is a midlife crisis. I think it's a midlife opportunity. And it's all about how we look at things. Again, I know I think on another episode I talked about this, the model of reality, but it's all about your model of reality. A lot of people think once you get to a certain age, then you're past it or you can't do certain things. I was actually rewatching the Blue Zones. I watched it back in 2023. We were rewatching it, my husband and I, the other day. And if you're not aware of the Blue Zones are Dan Buettner is the guy who's been investigating the Blue Zones for many, many years. And it's all about areas in the world where people, large percentages of the population, live until 100 or beyond. And so what he does in the Blue Zones, which is a Netflix thing, I'm not promoting it, I'm not advertising it, I'm not being paid to do that, but it was amazing. It really goes through the different countries where, or places in these countries where you have the Blue Zones, where you have people living to over 100. And it's fascinating because what he does is he's worked out what it is that seems to help them to live to that age. And so in each of the different countries he goes through it, but really surmise of it, it's having a purpose. So ikigai, Okinawa is one of the places where it's a blue zone where you've got people living to 100. Ikigai is all about purpose, what you do, doing what you love, and actually living your purpose. And a lot of the areas, it was all about having a purpose, having a reason, volunteering, doing that sort of thing to help you. Another thing was being part of the community, which again helps you to live longer. Another thing was being active. They were gardening or they were just keeping active. Obviously food had something to do with it as well, and so he talks about different types of food. And funnily enough, he does mention red wine, which made me laugh. I'm not sure I quite agree with that, but there are sort of 6 things that he says. If you can recreate that, he actually recreates these blue zones in America, and actually he has done really well with that as well. So if you're in America, you may have heard of the blue zones. You might be in an area where there is a blue zone, getting out in nature, that sort of thing, all really good for you and help you to live longer. So check that out if you want to live till 100. But I think a lot of us think, if you look at that, then you get to sort of 40, 50 and you think life's over. And actually, life is just beginning. You're only halfway through potentially if you do live to 100, if you are one of the people living in the blue zones, or you end up just acting as if you were and living to 100. There were people on there that were 100, over 110. There was 100-year-old, nearly 100-year-old cowboy. It was crazy. So there were people there that were 90 something that were still sort of able to bend all the way down and do these squats and just balance things on their head and dance and laugh, and it was really inspiring. And so when I say it's a midlife opportunity, I fundamentally believe that's true, because we have the option to sort of say, okay, well, life's over, or we can say life is just beginning. And they say smart people, well, maybe I say it, smart people stop drinking at 40. And I do believe when you do that, that is when you discover the limitless pill. That's when you discover that you can do so much more and you're capable of so much more. And actually, you then start to think about what's the purpose, what's the legacy you want to leave. You suddenly find all this time on your hands and you really want to utilize that time in the right way. You want to make sure that you're making the most of things. You want to be healthier. You want, now that you're not filling yourself with ethanol, which is what we clean our houses with and fill our cars up with. You actually feel like you want to be healthy, you want to have a better life. You also you become a bit purpose driven. Absolutely. You want to share this with others, and you want to just help people see that by taking this one thing out, it can create so many other things. And so many people that I've worked with and my own personal journey, they've seen such changes by just deciding, making a decision to do something like this. And really you don't need to commit to forever. So I stopped for 21 days. Other clients of mine have stopped for 30 days. One of my current clients has said, I'm going to not drink for 6 months, and that's her goal. And so you can really set your own goal. There's no pressure. And don't ever say it's forever, because your brain won't like that, especially at the beginning. But taking that step and making a decision, and to decide means to cut off all options. So once you actually make a decision, once you make a choice, then you actually can start working towards that choice, and it makes it a lot easier. And our brain is amazing. I think when we actually choose something or decide something and we are very clear, our subconscious mind then goes off to work to find the answers that are going to allow us to actually achieve that. It's sort of manifesting 101. So I fundamentally believe that by taking this one thing out, it allows you to then look at other things. But why not actually then say, okay, so what is it I want to achieve? What are my passions? What are the healthier habits I can put in as opposed to not putting in? So in terms of daily rituals and morning and evening routines, what is it you do? Do you wake up in the morning and switch on your phone and start doom scrolling, or you're checking your emails straight away? Why not actually spend the first 5 minutes at least just thinking about, how do I want to feel? What am I grateful for? What are the 3 things I'm grateful for? How do I want this day to go? And just going inwards before you start going outwards and hearing everyone else. Because actually we can then get so caught up, and our whole mood could be negative when we can actually start off in a really great way. I love to talk about with my clients the feelings, choosing your feelings as you choose your clothes. And so what is that when you wake up and you go to your wardrobe and you think, okay, I'm going to wear this, I'm going to wear that? Well, what are the feelings you want to create? What are the thoughts that you want to start the day with? How do you want to feel each morning? And actually set yourself up in the right way. I love EFT tapping. EFT tapping is something I do every day, probably 2 or 3 times a day, morning and evening. And it just helps your energy really just move around and release any stuck negative energy that you have. It's based on the meridian points that you would have for acupuncture, but you can just do it yourself. It's just tapping at various meridian points, which you go through and you say certain things and you tap along. And so EFT tapping is a game changer. Reading, they say readers are leaders, and so just reading 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day is really helpful. I would suggest breath work, doing some breathing, getting some movement in. You could just put on your favorite song and dance around and just do that. And then the other important thing is really setting yourself up for sleep, for bedtime routines as well. I think that's also really in the morning and the evening, just really the tail ends of your day, to make sure you set yourself up, and then you go to sleep in a way that actually sets you up for the following day. And a lot of people talk about sleep. And again, no matter how little you drink, you could be drinking, like, anytime you drink a glass of wine, it's going to impact your sleep, your deep REM sleep. That's just a fact. We know that. And so regardless of how much you decide to drink or you are drinking, your sleep will be affected. So one of the things people do see pretty early on, but it can be up and down, it can take some time, is their sleep is so much better. And so again, by taking that out, sleep is good, but you just need to make sure you have a decent routine heading out to it. Again, you could stop watching TV an hour before, not eat anything. Always suggest you don't want to be having coffee after 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Certain things you can do to just make sure that you sleep better, and actually maybe having a bath, or instead of watching telly or being on scrolling on your phone, read a book, like an actual book as well. You can obviously read, there are lots of glasses and things, night lights and things you can get that will help when you use your screen, so you could still do that if you're a Kindle person. But again, just setting yourself up in a way. I tend to do yoga every evening just to sort of set me up for the evening. I try to read a little bit, and I will listen to a meditation, and I tend or do some tapping. And so those are things I do. So again, building in those morning and evening routines is really helpful as you go on this journey. And then finally, passions. What are you passionate about? And have you lost your passions? For me, it was obvious when I was drinking that I felt like I had work, had family, and then socializing probably were the things that I did with my life. And work took up so much time, and I had a pretty intense job. And so yeah, it felt like that's all I had. And I remember, although I was very good in the sense that I always tried to do some exercise in the morning. That was something that was a non-negotiable for me. I tend to probably 6 days a week do 20 to 30 minutes of some sort of movement. So I'd always done that. But nowhere near what I've done since stopping drinking. You might remember or know that I hadn't run since school, and I decided to do a 10K program when I think it was February 2021, so a few months into my alcohol-free journey. And I've gone on to run two London marathons since then. So movement is key as well. I'm trying to remember what we were talking about, but movement is key. And I just think if you can then find some passions, and I really remember thinking, I think it was 2019, 2018, it must have been 2019. I watched The Greatest Showman for the first time, and you might know the film The Greatest Showman. You might know the song "This Is Me." I won't go in song just yet, but it was, for me, it was an eye opener. I loved his passion. I loved Hugh Grant's passion. I loved what he wanted to achieve, with this circus. And I think I remember watching it and just thinking, where has my passion gone? What am I passionate about? And there was a realization then, and I didn't link it at all to alcohol. I'd be lying if I said I did. I just know that around that time as well, I wasn't enjoying the heavy red wines that I used to enjoy. So I'd have a glass and it would give me a headache. So I stopped drinking those, but I never thought I'd stop drinking completely. So I carried on again for another year or so. But it was really sort of, what am I passionate about? And eventually, and then just after that, I had the opportunity come to me that I could climb Mount Kilimanjaro for charity the following year in March 2020. And so I signed up to that and actually started discovering a passion. And I think that was really when my love of nature started to happen, because my friend and I did it, and she and I would go on these long hikes in the Chiltern Hills where we lived at the time, and just reconnect with nature, with each other. And we had just amazing deep chats and everything else. And training for that really gave me a sense of purpose. It gave me a sense of life again, that was outside of that. As I said, I was still sort of going out and drinking and with friends, and that was still part and parcel of life, but just having that outlet was really good. And then climbing the mountain and doing that, and luckily we managed to do it and get it done before COVID hit. So we literally climbed the mountain, came down, the world changed. I got back home and we were in lockdown. Well, I was working from home like a week later, and then we were in lockdown, I think, a week after that. And so, having done this amazing thing, I suddenly found myself, living at work, just homeschooling, just life not quite what we had expected it to be. And I remember being on the mountain and having this sense of there was more, but didn't have a chance to really unpack that at all when we got back. And it took another however many months. It was 9th of November 2020 when I said I'm going to stop drinking and take a break for 21 days. And again, never thought it'd be more than the 21 days. It's going to be 5 years this November. But all I would say is what it did do when I did stop drinking was reignite some passions that I didn't know I had. You know, I've written a book. I'd forgotten how much I liked writing. I have a podcast. Obviously, you're listening to it. So with the podcast, you know, talking to people, doing these virtual coffees, as I said earlier in the day, just connecting with people and learning about people, traveling the world, which we're doing at the moment. I just think there's so many passions that we have that are hidden or that we don't allow ourselves to express or we've lost along the way. And they can be really simple. I'm not saying you have to get on a plane or you have to start a podcast or write a book, but knitting again, that was something I started doing. Painting by numbers, I love doing puzzles, you know, whatever it is. What's your passion? Going out and finding a new group of like-minded people. If you have stopped drinking, I was speaking to someone the other day and they were saying, you know, I'm the only one who doesn't drink in my community, got no friends who, you know, all my friends are drinking. And I suggested, you know, go and find a group, go and find somewhere that, or do an activity where people won't be drinking because you can't do it in that activity. And again, so she came up with a couple of ideas and she's gone off to explore those. So again, I think even though we think it's hard as adults to make friends and to start something new, we have it inside us to do that. We can all change our reality. We can all create the lives we want to live. And actually, when you stop drinking, you start having the energy, the focus, the awareness, the creativity that allows you to do something different, try something new. And so I just want to encourage you today, really, if you are listening to this and you are curious about becoming alcohol free, then why not start today, right? Thursday, the 24th of July, start today, take a break. Say you're going to stop for 21 days. Every year, well, the past couple of years, I'm not doing it this year, but the past couple of years, I've done alcohol free August. And so you can go back to my Instagram page at Thrive Alcohol Free and you can watch the videos for alcohol free August. It's a tip that you get every day. I also have my emails, 21 days of emails that you can purchase, and they are inspiring, motivating. You get a quote, you get journal prompts, you get a journal at the beginning of it, and you can go through those emails, and that will absolutely help you on your journey. You can also just, you know, set your why, really think about your why, and just take that break. Do the 21 days or do the 30 days or whatever it is you want to do. And if you are, and that would be the starting point for you to maybe see how you feel, maybe start getting some clarity, awareness, and deciding what you want to do next. And if there are any passions you want to find or hobbies you want to find during that time, feel free to. If you've stopped drinking and it's been recent and you're not enjoying it, or you're thinking you're white knuckling, or you're thinking you're missing out and deprived, or you haven't got any friends, then I definitely encourage you to find a passion, find something, and then think about some habits that you want to bring in that bring you joy. If you like reading, read. If you like writing, journal. If you like just being in nature, go for walks every day. Set yourself a mini goal, set yourself a little goal, and do something towards that every single day. Consistency compounds, and you can absolutely start new things, meet new people, bring new things into your life that you may have forgotten about. So don't look at it as I'm giving something up. Look at it as I'm gaining and I'm transforming, and actually this is a journey and a process that's helping me to grow. And then finally, if you've been alcohol free for a while and you feel like you've plateaued a little bit, it's really interesting because the first year or two, you are so excited and everything's new and you're really appreciating the energy you have, who you are, who you've become, what's happened. And you see those gains, like huge gains in a really short period of time, that when it gets to sort of year 3, year 4, I remember speaking to someone who was 4 years in and was just like, I feel like I want to go back to drinking because I just haven't got anything. I'm not enjoying it. I don't see the point. I feel like I'm good now. So why do I need to keep going? And it's because she hadn't really built in the things I've described. She hadn't really got the passions and the hobbies. She hadn't built in those routines. She hadn't really thought about what brings her joy. She just thought about, I can't drink. And that's not what it's about. It's not about you having something wrong with you or you not being able to do something, or as I said, you giving something up. It's about looking at it in a really positive way. How can this make my life better? How can this be better for me mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically? Go through your wheel of life. There's a coaching tool that I use, which is your wheel of life. There's sort of 8 areas of life. And then you give it yourself a 1 to 10 on each of those areas. And where you're a 4 or 5, what can you do to get it up to an 8 or a 9? Work on those things. And so I think that's it for today. I just wanted to come on and talk to you a little bit, give you some tools and tips, and really encourage you to know that if being alcohol free is something on your radar for 2025, the first half of the year is gone. If you haven't done anything about it yet, start today. If you started on the 1st of January, you're 7 months in, 8 months in nearly, maybe do a reset and think about, what was the reason you stopped drinking back then? Are you actually enjoying it? Is there something else you want from it? Don't give up. Don't sort of say, I'm going to go back to it. Think about what you've achieved so far, what the benefits are, and how you can keep going. And if you are doing Dry July, congratulations, then you're on day 24. And so again, think about, what is it you want to do next? What will you do when we get to 31st of July? As I said, the 1st of August, I have alcohol-free August on my previous. If you just scroll back on my Instagram, you can get those videos, or you can get the alcohol-free email challenge, which is a 21-day challenge that you can get on my website, thrivealcoholfree.com. But I want this podcast to really show that this is for everyone, wherever you are on your journey, be that curious, be that on the journey, early days, be that been alcohol free for years. I work with you all, so I will take you on that journey, and as I said, I have a number of tools I use to help you with that. So feel free to get in touch, and I would love to work with you. I'd love to just connect and have a chat with the virtual coffees. No obligation, they are literally just a chat. And I hope you have the most wonderful week. Let me know if this has been a helpful conversation. Let me know your key takeaways. Feel free to review, rate, subscribe, share this with a friend. It's all really helpful, and it helps other people find it. And I'm sure, midlife opportunity, not a midlife crisis. And remember, if you are 40 or above, you potentially could live till you're 100 or beyond the blue zones. If you do, what are you going to do with this one precious life and with the rest of the years? You don't want to get to the end of your life and think, I wish I'd done that, I could have done that, and have regrets. I think it's the Mel Robbins book, Let Them. If you're worried about other people, let them. Just do what you want to do, and know that whatever it is that you wants you. Your desires want you, and they're waiting for you. And you on the other side of all of this is there cheering you on. So yeah, hope that's inspired you, hope that's helped you, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to the Thrive Alcohol Free podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe so you get alerted every time I drop a new episode. I'd love it if you could rate, review, and share this episode. Feel free to tag me on Instagram at Thrive Alcohol Free and follow me for daily tips. If you would like to work with me, I offer one-to-one coaching sessions and have my signature Thrive Alcohol Free Society group coaching program. If you're not yet ready for coaching, I also have a self-paced online course, which is a companion to my book, A Cocktail of Clarity. All the links are in the show notes. I will see you in the next episode. Have a wonderful week. Take care.